they pay people pension. He's with the youth. He know they seek attention, carry us along and show us the direction. We need a leader that can manage the economy, so that Nigeria itself will begin to make more money. This na person wey go give us peace and harmony. Get your PVC, this one will be small warning. Him fit stop all the shooting, kakakaka, boyaka. Our youth need jobs, they need money to do data. I'm feeling you, Magneto, this na true matter. Now who you dey talk about? Atiku Abubakar.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Welcome aboard Flight 2023 AtikuLive 2023. I have my co-pilot here with me, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, keeping track on all navigation systems. Our destination is a united Nigeria. Right now, we're cruising at 2022 feet above sea level. Before we arrive at our destination, let me give you a brief update on what to expect at our destination. Number 1. The temperature is going to be hot on security issues. 2. The people are going to be better educated, and the educational system and healthcare will be accessible to every citizen. 3. The economy is going to be thriving and booming. And of course, there'll be true federalism. This and many more to be expected for a united and prosperous Nigeria. So sit back and relax, and before you know it, if we all join hands together, we shall arrive at the new united Nigeria we all dream of soon enough. My name is Atiku Abubakar. As one, we can get it done.
Welcome to another edition of Headline Roundup. And we're having a very cold morning in Abuja. IJ, how's it today?
It is actually cold. I mean, the weather has, I don't know, we've moved from the usually hot climates that we know that we are accustomed to here to very cold weather.
I hope it's not a global warming and turning itself on us. Well, you're having situations in Nigeria.
Yeah,
where,
there is a lot on the news.
Most of them are actually about legality, and we are bringing in a barrister into the house, a legal luminary that would be helping us with
some
more
of
the
these
analysis
issues,
and the way out of most of these issues. And
so Barrister Ifeanyi Okowa will be joining us to look at some of the, look at the legal side, take a look, discuss the legal issues and our topics. I mean, we have a lot to discuss today. Really, there's a lot in the news. We've seen ASU back in the news.
That's actually a touching one, because I could remember very well while then in university, we always hoped that your whole session ends without a strike. And now the students back home, and we hope that this actually gets resolved and the students go back to school, because that's where they should be, and so they can finish and come back and be in the workforce of the nation.
Yeah, I mean, there is an important issue to look at. ASU was on strike, like I said yesterday, ASU was on strike in 2020 for 9 months, and here they are back on strike for, they've been on strike for another 6 months. And in 2020, JAMB was written, WAEC was written. 2021, JAMB was written, WAEC was written. 2022, JAMB has been written, WAEC has been written. So what is the fate? What is the fate of these students who've written their WAEC and their JAMB now? Yes.
I hope it gets resolved, and with the situation concerning people having altercation with the police, and we hope that people don't start fighting with the police. The legal means to support yourself should be what should be in your mind, because you cannot go ahead fighting the policeman while he's on duty. You should just allow the law to play its course, and at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. Well,
okay, we'll go on a short break now, and when we come back, we'll be looking at the headlines with our guests. To stay with us.
Here most of the differences is either north-south or Muslim-Christian. These are the divisions. These divisions are deep. You see, even in the smallest family unit, you need unity to have stability, peace and progress of that family. Now, translate that into a bigger and more complex country like Nigeria. And therefore, unity is number one.
Atiku knows about diversity. His inner circle reflects the face of Nigeria.
And when you see the crowd around him, the mixture is amazing. There's hardly any ethnic group that's not present around him.
And for you to be admired by the various segments of the citizens of this country, his secret that he has a touch.
The type of leader that Nigeria needs is somebody who will unite the people together. I believe strongly that Atiku Abubakar is that type of leader. So he has so many friends everywhere, among the Christians, among the Muslims, and also outside Nigeria.
People find it safe to rely on him, to rely on what he's saying and what he's doing.
Ability to chart the course and steer the ship.
He understands the problem of this country. He understands the heartbeat of Nigerians.
So I see hope in his leadership.
This man can be trusted. I have no hesitation at all in endorsing him as candidate for president for Nigeria in 2000.
People pension, he's with the youth. He know they seek attention, carry us along and show us the direction. We need a leader that can manage the economy so that Nigeria itself will begin to make more money. This na person wey go give us peace and harmony. Get your PVC, this one will be small warning. Him fit stop all the shooting, kakakaka, boyaka. Our youth need jobs, they need money to do data. I'm feeling you, Magneto, this na true matter. Now who you dey talk about? Atiku Abubakar.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Welcome aboard Flight 2023 AtikuLive 2023. I have my co-pilot here with me, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, keeping track on all navigation systems. Our destination is a united Nigeria. Right now, we're cruising at 2022 feet above sea level. Before we arrive at our destination, let me give you a brief update on what to expect at our destination. Number 1. The temperature is going to be hot on security issues. 2. The people are going to be better educated, and the educational system and healthcare will be accessible to every citizen. 3. The economy is going to be thriving and booming. And of course, there'll be true federalism. This and many more to be expected for a united and prosperous Nigeria. So sit back and relax, and before you know it, if we all join hands together, we shall arrive at the new united Nigeria we all dream of soon enough. My name is Atiku Abubakar. As one, we can get it done.
You know, here most of the differences is either north-south or Muslim Christian. These are the divisions. These divisions are deep. You see, even in the smallest family unit, you need unity to have stability, peace and progress of that family. Now, translate that into a bigger and more complex country like Nigeria. And therefore, unity is number one.
Atiku knows about diversity. His inner circle reflects the face of Nigeria.
And when you see the crowd around him, the mixture is amazing. There's hardly any ethnic group that's not present around him.
And for you to be admired by the various segments of the citizens of this country, his secret that he has a touch.
The type of leader that Nigeria needs is somebody who will unite the people together. I believe strongly that Atiku Abubakar is that type of leader. So he has so many friends everywhere, among the Christians, among the Muslims, and also outside Nigeria.
People find it safe to rely on him, to rely on what he's saying and what he's doing.
Ability to chart the course and steer the ship.
He understands the problem of this country. He understands the heartbeat of Nigerians.
So I see hope in his leadership.
This man can be trusted. I have no hesitation at all in endorsing him as candidate for president for Nigeria in 2000.
Welcome back on Headline Roundup. We have our guests in-house now, and we're really going to be taking much of the lead news. And IJ, we have Barrister Ifeanyi Okerafo in the house.
Yeah.
And he'll be looking at the legal issues of our discussion this morning, and we hope that he will throw more light on these issues. Before we go back to the guests, the major stories on the headline.
Army captures bandits in Kaduna. The Nigerian Army said its fighting patrol team has captured 3 bandits operating in some parts of Kaduna State alive and neutralized one, while others escaped with a bullet wound in a firefight on Monday. The Director of Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu, disclosed this in a statement made available to newsmen on Tuesday. 4 sent to prison over alleged assault on policemen. 4 persons have been remanded at the Kirikiri Maximum Correctional Facility in Apapa, Lagos for allegedly assaulting police officers. Those sent to prison are Ehis Tito Odige, a 33-year-old music producer, and Miracle Onukofurobi, 27, and a Benediction University student. Others include 26-year-old Oyedeji Motunrayo and 31-year-old Bolade Richard, both corps members. Building collapses in Kano, many trapped. A 3-story building has collapsed in one of the GSM markets in Kano. Reports say the building is located on Beirut Road, a very busy area in Kano. Many people are feared trapped in the rubble as of the time of filing this report. Appeal Court nullifies 20 billion naira judgment in favor of Sunday Igboho. The Ibadan Division of the Court of Appeal on Tuesday set aside the judgment which declared the attack on the House of Yoruba Nation agitator Chief Sunday Adeyemo aka Sunday Igboho illegal. The court also nullified the 20 billion naira exemplary and aggravated damages awarded against the Department of State Security DSS for the attack, describing it as outrageous. Let's wake up now, do something about ASU, economy. Osinbajo charges governors. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, SAN, has urged Nigerian governors to join the federal government to provide immediate solution to the ongoing strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities and the dwindling economy. Osinbajo said this when he received APC governors today in his office at the presidential villa. EU defense ministers consider military training for Ukraine. EU defense ministers are meeting in the Czech capital of Prague on Tuesday to hold talks focused on setting up a military training program for Ukrainian soldiers. EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell will chair the talks at the informal meeting and recently backed the idea to train the Ukrainian military at a university seminar in Spain. My statement not political. Russia's attack on Ukraine unwarranted. Pope Francis has defended himself against criticism that his statements on the war in Ukraine were political messages. The Vatican for the first time directly named Russia as the initiator of the war, according to a statement from the Holy See on Tuesday. Welling set to return to EPL. Former Arsenal and Chelsea star Welling is set for a remarkable return to the Premier League with a move to newly promoted Fulham. The Craven Cottage club are working to sign the former Brazil international on a free transfer and hope to complete the deal on Tuesday.
Welcome back on Headline Roundup. And as we said earlier, we have our guest on the show, Barrister Ifeanyi Okerafo, a very learned one, a political analyst, and he has actually sojourned on both in and out of the political scene. Mr. Okerafo, you're welcome on the show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. We have on the news this morning, Army actually capturing 3 bandits and some actually fleeing with bullet wounds. This is actually an occurrence that actually left Nigerians with wondering exactly what's happening with insecurity in the country.
I mean, this is basically a good one. We're happy to see that the army is doing things like, but we need them to ramp it up. We need more of this. As for the ones that have escaped with the bullet wounds, I think they should be on the lookout for them. They have to get treated somehow, and I mean, it brings the question back really. How does the communities that these people live in, do they support them? Do they hide them? Do they cover them?
Well, I think in the last 8 to 10 years since we've been having insecurity issues in Nigeria, 10 plus years now, I think a very common occurrence is that some of these bandits, as you would call them, or terrorists, whichever term you would want to use, domicile themselves in communities. And I think that's why there's been a very strong push for community policing, state policing as well. Vigilante groups alone are not best suited to handle these things. You need to have a proper community policing to be able to address the issues. And so if without community policing, we would continue to have situations where you would have bandits festering and hiding in communities. Community members will know them. Some of them benefit from this sort of things, but a lot of communities are actually victims. You know, they're victims of such things, and as such, they don't feel protected by the state. Neither do they feel that the state is doing enough. I'm talking about the federal government as a whole. And I think it even became worse under the current administration. I'm sure a lot of people had high hopes for the APC government, especially in the areas of insecurity. But I think people have been let down, communities have been further let down. And, you know, when bandits or whoever they are coming to the communities, they don't see the need to fight them, not to be on the wrong end of that spectrum. So I think going forward, there should be an adequate push for community policing, for state policing. Of course, in some quarters, they don't agree with it. But we can clearly see that policing has to go down to the communities so that we don't have these occurrences anymore.
I mean, it looks like the government has failed in providing social protections for these citizens, because in many of these communities, what we've seen is that these bandits, these terrorists, do not directly attack the inhabitants of the communities that they're residing in, and they take these attacks outside because these people know them, they sell to them, they feed from them, and they interact on a daily basis.
Yes, they do. I mean, I think it was last year or 2 years ago where it was reported in the news. I can't remember exactly where, but it was reported in the news that communities pay taxes to bandits.
So they offer the protection that the government is supposed to
offer. So communities are not protected, like I said earlier. Communities are not protected. They don't feel the protection. So rather than be on the wrong end with the bandits or with Boko Haram or with any sort of criminal element, they'd rather be on the best business side end of it. You know, farmers are carrying their crops and handing over to these people as per feed, in order to be protected. They have quotas. In fact, sometimes they are giving quotas that this is what you can do, you give us the remaining. This is what you can do, and you provide this to us. So you have I would even call it a government within a government. You have non-state actors acting as
a parallel government.
Yes, a parallel government of some sorts. So that's what we currently have at the moment, and it's very, very sad.
Yeah, Barrister, you spoke about having the power from having a general as the president.
Yes.
And I will be asking, what's the political will that's been perceived from being a general and now a president? Because we have about 8.6 billion being released to these headers. We have even series of money being released to these headers, and in persistence of this insecurity. What would you say about the political will of the president?
I think from the get-go, the impression created by the APC when they were carrying out their, propaganda, whatever it is, promotion of the president, I think one theme kept recurring that, he helped in defeating Maitasine. That's one of the insurgent groups that we had back in the 1980s, 1990s. And I think that perception kind of gave people an idea that he might have an idea of how to handle insecurity. But we can see that the body language has been very, it's been one of, I think it's been very lackluster, for lack of better words. There's been no desire to end the crisis or the insurgency. There's been no desire. We have multifaceted levels of insecurity in the country. You can see on one side, in the southeast, for instance, there's a desire to end the IPOB group in the southeast. But that desire does not move to the north. And it begs one to question a lot of things, you know. I think in the southeast we had the Python dance and all of those things, you know, as per security measures. The southeast is probably one of the most policed areas in Nigeria, and it goes back, if you ask me, to, you know, this nostalgia of the Civil War that, you know, our president might have, and you can hear that in his comments and in his rhetorics. But the same is not applied. The same measure is not applied in the north. And you can see there's some level of lackluster towards ending the insurgency. And the north is gravely affected by the level of insurgency. And so the body language of the president is very telling that, honestly, as much as I want to resolve the problem, I don't think I want to resolve the problem. And not just the president, but the fact that you have people of such level of experience around him as police officers, as military men, and whatsoever. The inability of the various security apparatuses to not just investigate, not just carry out various measures of actually taking, you know, because security goes beyond just enforcement. There's the investigative aspect, there's the various aspects to it, you know, and we can see that not enough is being done by the president, by the people working with the president, and heads are not rolling when things happen. There was a Kaduna train incident, and today nobody has been held responsible. So we can see that as it stands right now. In fact, I think it's even worse now because we're in an election season, and it seems like everybody has forgotten about governance. Everybody has forgotten about protecting citizens. And that's why we're seeing what we have today.
Okay, so I think we can all agree, one thing we can all agree on is that insecurity has easily become the most challenging issue that we face as Nigerians right now. And the president, our current president, has been accused of being having a laissez-faire attitude towards these challenges. So moving into 2023, we have three major candidates. We have three frontliners for the presidential seat in 2023. Which of these candidates do you think has what it takes to address the insecurity challenges that we are facing currently in Nigeria?
Okay, I will try to be as unbiased as possible in this particular situation, and I'll give reasons why what each candidate clearly is bringing to the table. When you look at Peter Obi, His Excellency Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State, you could see the way he handled insecurity in Anambra State. Of course, he could have done better. There could have been more he could have done, but he did a fairly good job. Now, on a larger scale, the insecurity is not just local anymore. The insecurity is national. It transcends just dealing with local crisis. It's now dealing with crises that are beyond just poverty and hunger and agitation for a new country. You're dealing with religious crisis. You're dealing with tribal crisis. You're dealing with a multi-level crisis. And I personally, it's my personal opinion, I personally don't think he has what it takes to deal with such levels of crisis, because it takes deep understanding of these crises to be able to handle them. To the presidential candidate of the APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you can see that in Lagos, that is a state which he has had control over for the last, 20 years. Lagos has still been the hotbed of crisis. Every day, I mean, I think it was 2 days ago when one of the National Union of Road Transport Workers leaders was murdered in Lagos State. Lagos has been a hotbed of violence and has been a hotbed of crime. Sometimes it's very difficult to live in that city. You know, it's very difficult to live in that state because of the level of insecurity. So if you're unable to handle security in your state, given the resources you have, then I beg to question whether you have the capacity to deal with it at the national level. But then I will come back to, with Peter Obi and with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I think Peter Obi will not be able to handle it because at a larger level it goes beyond just local crisis. With Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Lagos is cosmopolitan. Lagos has different people, so you're meant to deal with all the various, kinds of crises that might occur. He has had that opportunity, and he has shown that he's not able to do it. And then you come to the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar. I think one thing should be made clear and known. Atiku has had experience of dealing with national crises and national issues. As the vice president of the country between 1999 and 2003 and 2007, I beg your pardon, there were various issues that emanated within that dispensation. And he had the opportunity of not just observing how his president, Olusegun Obasanjo, was able to handle some of the crises to the point that it wasn't as bad as it is today. I think there was so much for him to learn within that period. And I think there's something he's always consistently mentioned. He's always consistently mentioned that he believes in community policing. Excuse me. He believes in community policing. He recognizes the fact that issues are local. They are at the grassroots level. And once you have community policing, like even in one of his books, he even mentioned that, that's what he's grown up knowing. He's grown up knowing that policing should be local. And I think when you have that kind of mentality, it means that you're able to understand that there are multiple levels of issues that as the president alone, you can't resolve. And I think that's one thing he's made clear from the get-go, that he will not be coming to lord over everybody and tell you how to resolve your security crisis. But that at each level, we would understand what the crisis is and we will find ways to resolve the crisis. And I think he stands out in terms of having to understand how to deal with security in the country.
Yeah, Vice, moving on to the insecurity issues, but now we're talking about crime here.
Okay.
We have 4 men actually being incarcerated because they actually attacked policemen.
Yeah.
So now we're looking at the legal implications of you going the upfront to actually approach a policeman and attack him. What does the citizen need to know? What are the measures that need to be put in place so these things don't happen at all? Especially if they,
not in this case where, cases where the citizen is standing for himself.
Okay, I think from a legal standpoint, hitting anyone is battery, assault, there's battery, there are 2 levels of offenses, but the actual hitting someone itself it's in itself criminal, it's covered in our criminal laws. Provocation from a police officer, provocation from anybody is something that happens all the time. It's not a question of the willpower to deal with it internally. But on this matter, I think one thing people need to be aware of is that it's important to have the mind to know how to de-escalate. Of course, and I think it's also very important that our officers receive better training. I think the training they currently have is very 20th century. I'm just being honest because I feel like there's been no revamp of the measures of dealing with people. I think our police officers have I think our police officers are also victim of the system because there's been no desire to improve the way police officers deal with people. And so we have incidences like this. If you hit anybody, it's a crime. Talk more of a police officer. You hit a police officer, it is a criminal offense, and they have the right to arrest you at that point and charge you to court, charge you for battery and assault. And you'd have to deal with the consequences. But at the same time, I feel like we haven't gotten to, we've not had a revamp of the Nigerian police. We've only had a change in name where they've removed force and all of that, but we've not had the actual change, the actual training and retraining of police officers to understand how best to deal with, you know, issues like the ones that have been raised, you know. So, I mean, generally to citizens, I would say, I think it's important not to hit a police officer, no matter how angry you are, because the moment they pick you, they can charge you to court, even if, you know, they are the ones that may have said, just merely even pushing a police officer itself is battery, and you can be taken up for that. So I think people just would have to learn in the moment right now to control emotions, pending when we get to that point that officers will be trained properly on how to deal with situations and how not to escalate situations to the point where people are hitting people.
You're talking about the escalation here.
Yeah.
And we just, there's just this episode of ENSA that just left Nigeria in 2020. And now people are beginning to say, oh, this is the police that need to protect us. If a policeman cannot escalate an issue without not going to violence, then where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line here to know exactly when you're not crossing your boundary and when you should not actually touch a policeman? Is it after the policeman actually hits you without not even reading your rights? Or is it after he has read your rights and you feel that he's slapping you after reading your rights? Where do you draw the line?
So like I said, if you hit a police officer, they can charge you to court. The same way if a police officer hits you, you can also take them up to court. You know, so it's not like as if it's a one-way street. You can take them up before a court of law.
Sorry to cut you short.
Yes.
Why I said that is this. ASPA, that was the speaker to the spokesperson for Lagos State Police Force, has said that both the offender and the policeman are going to be taken to the court.
Yeah.
So now, I'm looking at the legal implications there. What is the judge going to be saying to them?
I can't preempt what the judge will say.
Okay, but also, I mean, I was also looking at them being remanded at the Kirikiri maximum prison. I don't know if that was too much.
I don't know if you've had the opportunity of listening to General Dambazao at one point. Either himself or someone had made a comment as regards the grading of our prisons, maximum and minimum. We really don't have that distinction at this point. It's very evident. I mean, based on the breakouts that happened in Kuje prison, we could see that whether Kuje is a minimum or a maximum prison, I really don't know, so I won't comment so much on that. But I think we can clearly see that there's a lack of, I think we just...
They're bloodlines.
They are bloodlines. We just push everything and push everything everywhere. Why are you sending people who committed assault and battery to, and not even causing grievous bodily harm to the police officer? Why are you sending them to a maximum prison? You know, but I think there's a need to create that distinction. But I want to go back to the question you asked regarding the whole where do we draw the line and all of those. Like I've said, training and retraining, localizing police, localizing and making it community policing to the point where it's easier to have these people trained at various levels so they understand what they are dealing with and how they are dealing with what they're dealing with. I think better communication from the police as well is very important. I mean, right now, we don't have, yes, there are a couple of police officers coming on Twitter, talking to people about X, Y, and Z. And I think that's good. That's a very good thing, and I encourage it. I believe that every PPRO, I think that's what they're called, of the police force, should be on social media, engaging people and educating people. But at the same time, there's also a need for that educating the officers themselves. I think it's very important that the officers themselves are educated on how to deal with citizens. I think there's a need even for psych evaluation of police officers quarterly or annually, whichever way it is, whichever is less expensive. There's a need for that level of evaluation to understand the kind of people you're asking to go and police, protect the lives of citizens, protect properties of citizens. It's very important. So I think we kind of take some of these things, like I said, we're still doing 20th century policing. That's where we are. That's why we're having all these problems today, that policing is not suited for our present day and time. So I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done in that area. But you can't have a president do it. It has to be pushed down to the states.
Delegation of
yes, delegation of, it has to be pushed down to the states. And I'm not saying the state governors per se. You can have a situation where the legislature and the judiciary take charge of the policing by ensuring that there are adequate checks and balances. You know, that can happen. So I don't think it's far-fetched, and I don't think it's impossible to do. But I think that's what we need to get to resolve this particular crisis.
Moving on from security issues to a collapse. And the other day we had a collapse in Kubwa, and now another collapse in Kano. And people are trapped. So we are talking about actually educating, advocacy and all that. What exactly is going on with the current? How are they going out with their activities? How are they advising? How are they actually putting the necessary measures for this occurrence not? And how is the regulatory body being well equipped? Because we Nigerians need to know exactly what's going on, because these are incidents are happening, is going on now. We have houses being collapsed, just collapsed in Kubwa, and now again in Kano. And these are actually not residential, but commercial buildings. And you know the influx that will be coming in and out of such places.
Okay. Disclaimer, I'm not a member of Koren, so I don't know what Koren is doing.
But what should they be doing?
What should they be doing? I think Koren is the engineering body.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it goes beyond Koren.
Okay.
To the capital development.
So there's development control. I think every state has some level of development control. I think every state, it's not I think, I know states have development controls, right? And I know that they have quality control as it regards the style of building, the quality of materials needed to be used, X, Y, and Z. But I think there are a lot of sharp practices in the industry, in the development industry. Too many sharp practices. Everybody is too smart. So if you tell someone, they'll probably use 1 bag of cement because they want to save cost. And you have things like that occurring. What Korean can do, possibly, maybe sanction members who, that you actually have to be a member. But then at the same time, you have people who will go to constructing without a Korean certified engineer. So what is Korean supposed to do in that situation? So that's why I peg it on state development controls. If you have a state development control, if you say you can only build a 3-story high complex, right? And then someone comes to you and gives you something behind the scene to be able to build a 4-story high. That's where we have the problem, you know. And then the quality of the building. I think if Korean can, I don't know what they would want to do, but I don't want to put that on them. I think their own is just simply come and identify with us, and then you'll be able to showcase that you're a Korean certified engineer. We train and retrain our members on how to do X, Y, and Z. It's kind of like with the NBA, the Nigerian Bar Association. You know, we have various, there's the training, the retraining, there's the understanding of this, X, Y, and Z. We understand what this means, what that means, how this works. I think that's what Korean can do. Okay, but to now put that on them, that's okay, people should be able to know how to ensure that we prevent these issues of collapsed buildings. It will be too much on them. The development controls are there for a reason. You know, so those are the ones that we need to be functional. And state governments need to start putting a closer eye on them to be able to prevent this sort of things from happening.
Now, looking at, we could hold them from the standard organization because they're supposed to make sure that these materials are standard, and we could also hold the development agencies like you've mentioned. But let's quickly look at the people who are actually suffering from this. I mean, we still have people that are trapped under this rubble that have not been rescued. Do you think that agencies like the National Emergency Response, NEMA, is adequately equipped to manage these contingencies?
I don't think NEMA is adequately equipped to handle some of the issues. And please permit me, I'm coming from a position of observation, not a position of, so based on observation, things that we've been seeing so far. I think that it's important states have domiciled in them emergency agencies. So when you have a situation like a collapsed building, what you want there is the fire service, you want, you know, a designated rescue team, you want a designated X, Y, and Z, you know, the way we see them outside of the country where you have a problem, maybe a collapsed building, there are things on site, there are equipment on site to get people out, to lift heavy material, and then you have the fire service, you have ambulances, ready, stationed to be able to handle some of these issues. I don't think states have done enough to prepare for this kind of situation, and I don't think it's possible to simply just drop it on NEMA because, like you rightly mentioned, National Emergency Management Agency, right? Yeah. So I think states need to start preparing themselves for such emergencies, providing funding for such, having some of the relevant agencies ready, like your fire department. Maybe you can have your ambulance services from hospitals and all of that. You can have all of those things ready. But, we don't take governance seriously in this part of the world. I mean, my observation so far is that we haven't. Because if we do, I think the question we should be discussing now is, did the agencies in the state act fast enough? Not whether they are even there to begin with. It's whether they acted fast enough, whether they've done, whether they were able, we'll be hearing stories that, they were able to save 60, but only 10 died, God forbid. Then the conversation will be, did they act fast enough? Not, do we even have them to begin with? So we are not prepared for governance as a nation, and there are things that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, Barrister, thank you for that take on the building that just collapsed in Kano. And for the viewers, we'll go on a short break now. We'll come back, more on the news.
The importance of one Nigeria cannot be overemphasized. Atiku Abubakar, the unifier, the man with unequaled experience, understands that our strength and power lies in being one people, one country, so that we can achieve one future. As one, we can get it done.
No, here most of the differences is either north-south or Muslim-Christian. These are the divisions. These divisions are deep. You see, even in the smallest family unit, you need unity to have stability, peace and progress of that family. Now, translate that into a bigger and more complex country like Nigeria. And therefore, unity is number one.
Atiku knows about diversity. His inner circle reflects the face of Nigeria.
And when you see the crowd around him, the mixture is amazing. There's hardly any ethnic group that's not present around him.
And for you to be admired by the various segments of the citizens of this country, his secret that he has a touch.
The type of leader that Nigeria needs is somebody who will unite the people together. I believe strongly that Atiku Abubakar is that type of leader. So he has so many friends everywhere, among the Christians, among the Muslims, and also outside Nigeria.
People find it safe to rely on him, to rely on what he's saying and what he's doing.
Ability to chart the course and steer the ship.
He understands the problem of this country. He understands the heartbeat of Nigerians.
So I see hope in his leadership.
This man can be trusted. I have no hesitation at all in endorsing him as candidate for president for Nigeria in 2000.
Welcome back. Like we were discussing before we went on this break, there's an issue. His judgment of 20 billion has been nullified.
Okay.
Barrister, what exactly is going on with our judiciary system? The inconsistency of judgments being given. We have them saying that this 20 billion cannot be given to Sunday Igboho. What exactly is going on? Okay,
so the courts, or rather the judge, will, when a case is brought before a judge, various arguments are made. And the judge, based on the law, and in some cases based on discretion, and that discretion is, they've assessed the law. They are making an informed decision that, look, X, Y, and Z happened. And I don't think you deserve 20 billion naira. It goes to another court of competent jurisdiction. Let's say it's gone from the High Court to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal says, no, we don't think you deserve it. Of course, there's still one more kid out of court, that's the Supreme Court, right? You go to the Supreme Court and challenge the judgment of the Court of Appeal. And that's the way this thing works. You go from each stage of court, and each stage can give a different verdict to, or judgment to the issue. Now, on the matter of Sunday Igboho, I think, and this is just me, I personally think that the courts would have assessed the situation. Maybe there's a breach of fundamental rights, there's probably destruction of property, and so he's claiming that the entirety of that is 20 billion. I have not read the facts of the case, so I'm just going off what's on the media. I've also not read the judgment as well. So, but by that judgment, I don't know whether the court said that there's a lower sum that is given, or that they're completely nullifying the entirety.
They also
of
said
the
the Federal High Court lacked the jurisdiction to entertain this case.
You see, so they've looked at it from the perspective that, okay, you brought the case to the Federal High Court, it probably should have been taken to a different court of competent jurisdiction to handle, you know, because it borders on various issues. And to that, on that note, it's possible. I mean, that's why sometimes when I have conversations with my colleagues, you know, the conversation sometimes is, you know, how do we ensure that you're starting things at the right? Because in law school, it's they teach you that you should know where to start a particular case. But I think sometimes there's this eagerness to get cases done faster by some lawyers. There's this eagerness to, and not just lawyers, but sometimes you have clients that are pushing and all of that. But that is not the issue. The issue is that the court has given a judgment which does not favor Sunday Igboho as it regards the claims of 20 billion. The courts have a reason, they've given a reason for why they've chosen not to push that further. And he has a right to go to the Supreme Court and challenge that judgment. But I don't think it will, I'm not sure how far it will go, because I'm guessing that there's the issue of a breach of fundamental rights. And the court will now have to dwell on that. Because clearly there was a breach of his fundamental rights.
So you agree that the attack on his house was illegal?
Yes, personally, I believe it was illegal. The way they went about it. Excuse me. I believe it was illegal. I believe that he should be compensated. I believe that the court will look at the situation. 20 billion might be a lot, but there has to be some level of compensation to show that the federal government, through its security apparatus, should not be victimizing and breaching fundamental rights.
Thank you, Barrister.
Thank you.
Okay, for coming on the show today. We really appreciate your input, and we hope you come again next time. We'll call you on the show. That's Barrister Okerafo, and we are really glad that he gave us an insight, the legal part of these issues, and we'll be having people coming on the foreign scene after this short break.
They pay people pension. He's with the youth. He know they seek attention. Carry us along and show us the direction. We need a leader that can manage the economy, so that Nigeria itself will begin to make more money. This na person wey go give us peace and harmony. Get your PVC. This one will be small warning. Him fit stop all the shooting. Kakakaka, boyaka. Our youth need jobs. They need money to do data. I'm feeling you, Magneto. This na true matter. Now who they talk about? Atiku Abubakar.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Welcome aboard Flight 2023 AtikuLive 2023. I have my co-pilot here with me, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, keeping track on all navigation systems. Our destination is a united Nigeria. Right now, we're cruising at 2022 feet above sea level. Before we arrive at our destination, let me give you a brief update on what to expect at our destination. Number 1. The temperature is going to be hot on security issues. 2, the people are going to be better educated, and the educational system and healthcare will be accessible to every citizen. 3, the economy is going to be thriving and booming. And of course, there'll be true federalism. This and many more to be expected for a united and prosperous Nigeria. So sit back and relax, and before you know it, if we all join hands together, we shall arrive at the new united Nigeria we all dream of soon enough. My name is Atiku Abubakar. As one, we can get it done.
They pay people pension.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Headline Roundup. Now we're moving on to the foreign scene where we're looking at the Pope. Now, yes, the Pope Francis has come out to clarify his statements over the Ukrainian-Russian war. What's your take on that?
We spoke about this some weeks ago when our own politician here tried to reference
drag the Pope into it.
And we said he's not supposed to have anything to do with politics. I think his message, he said something like Russia was they were the initiators of the war. I mean, at the end of the day, he has a right to his own opinion as a human, but he's a clergy and he represents an institution. So because of that, he shouldn't be involving himself in politics, as he has said.
But one will be looking at it that the Pope actually said he was actually issuing those statements to actually bring an establishment of peace to the whole situation, because he's looking at why should Russia keep on attacking when people are saying, mellow down on these attacks. Even on their Independence Day, you shot missiles and killed over 22 people. Yeah. And the Pope is saying, let's bloodshed, let's stop.
But do you think his statements brought about the results that he was hoping for?
Well,
clearly not.
Putin, it will be Putin, and we hope this bloodshed stops and Ukraine has its peace back, because that's what everyone is hoping for, because Ukraine has what it takes to actually feed lots of nations. You see the grains are starting coming, and the markets, the inflation rate and everything has heightened. So we would need peace actually in various quarters at this time to encourage more of coexistence between people. I think that's what the Pope is actually trying to send out.
I mean, still on Ukraine, the EU defense ministers are meeting in Prague to, set up some sort of informal training for, for the Ukrainian soldiers. You think this is a long time coming?
EU, statements like the Pope made are supposed to be made by, committees like the EU. Since they are basically a larger and more powerful, organization, and that's why now they're taking the stance of trying to train the Ukrainian soldiers. It's a good development, but then aren't they also trying to, instigate more violence too? I guess you could say that too. They're not trying to end the war as well.
For me, I would say the training should have come before the war.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about training and retraining. If there was adequate training for them, they would not actually be engaging. They would be more of a conflict resolution than actually going into this war. Well, on that, we have to go into sports now. We are on the sports scene. We have Willian. Willian is coming back to Chelsea.
The return of Brazilians. Brazilians are really taking over the Premier League.
I'm telling you, it's becoming
they're turning it into La Liga.
That's kind of thing happening in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's good.
To encourage more of these activities to have a kind of flair. I think that's what we're looking at.
Although let's not forget Willian. Willian, he disgracefully left Arsenal though. Let's see if his return to the Premier League is going to bring.
In Chelsea has actually made up for the.
You guys lost yesterday. You lost yesterday, by the way.
You win some, you lose some.
True.
Yeah, also our viewers, it's been a very entertaining, informative and section. And we had a very, very good one from our lawyer who gave us his beats on what should be done when you see a policeman.
Yeah, that was very, very
hold back your emotions and looking at what the Pope is saying. Peace to the world. And IG, I think we should preach more of that.
Peace to everyone.
As we're going
peace
towards
to
2023 election, we should be saying more of peace than war.
I guess.
Yeah, we've come to the conclusion of today's Headline Roundup. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same station, AtikuLive. And don't forget to follow us on all social media handles. Join us again.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.